First World War marked the beginning of the modern era. An era born in a cauldron of gunpowder, toxic smoke, and the blood of 10 million people. Blood that was spilled from the fields of France to the waters of the Americas, from the borders of Russia to the sands of the Middle East, from China to the depths of the seas and oceans. This war ended empires, shattered the past, and forced us to abandon the remnants of our medieval notions. When the smoke finally cleared and a bewildered world emerged from the trenches, a new era had begun, with new kinds of power, new ideas, and new dangers. This is the war that defines the events of the 20th century. It is a great war. However, we will not be talking about the war itself. We will be looking at the events that preceded it. Shakespeare's work will be played out before our eyes, as the story begins with the death of a prince and his beloved, and ends with bloodshed on a scale that the world has never seen before. And while the scenery is being set up, you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, so you will support me very much and will not miss new videos. Let's move on. At the beginning of the events we are talking about, Germany as a nation was only 40 years old. It was a young but strong state, and its emergence is perhaps a unique event in world history. Just overnight, after signing a couple of papers, the center of Europe, from a bunch of small quarreling states, turned into one of the greatest military powers in the history of mankind. Overnight, the strongest states in Europe, such as Russia, France, Austria-Hungary, and Great Britain, lost their positions. Overnight, in the very center of Europe, a state was created that had enough human resources, natural resources, and economic power to claim the title of the strongest state in the world. And here it is, the strongest state, yet denied all the rights and privileges of a great power. Great Britain and France have territories all over the world. Even Holland, a state that Germany could wipe off the face of the earth in a week, had colonies from Asia to Africa, and Germany had no such possessions, but the system of the European concert, which was then in operation, and which was built on the balance of compromise, kept the countries out of big wars at first. Perhaps because the politicians of the time were successfully dealing with an increasingly complex and more modern geopolitical environment. Russia had Alexander II, who understood that the country needed modernization to survive. He began the process of abolishing serfdom, instituted judicial reforms, supported universities, and sought peace. He realized that Russia was not ready for a battle with European nations. Although, like everyone else we will talk about today, Alexander II was no angel. He brutally suppressed revolutionaries and separatists in Russia, and he did it well. But now the country was ruled by Nikolai II, a retrograde and conservative, and in governance it is a collection of examples of mismanagement. He couldn't even organize his own coronation. 1,300 people died in the crush that day, but no one was upset and the party went on. The fate of the world was now in Nikolai II's hands. By this time in Austria, the emperor was an 84-year-old man who had only 2 years to live, and his foreign minister, Berthold, was not a stupid man, but very unsure of himself. And in the European politics of those times, there was no place for the weak. What was Germany's situation? Germany for 20 years had one of the greatest politicians, Otto von Bismarck, a man of outstanding ability and ambition. It was Bismarck who kept the European concert from collapsing. He devoted his life to keeping Russia and France from becoming allies, to keep Germany encircled. And he once said that if war were to break out in Europe, it would be because of some foolishness in the Balkans. Bismarck warned Kaiser Wilhelm II that aggressive policies would destroy the German Empire in the next 20 years and was fired. Another detail remains: the fear of dying empires. Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian, and Russian, the decline of the Ottoman Empire was long and slow. Neighboring states were taking bites out of the dying empire. Austria-Hungary saw this and feared the same fate. The Russian Empire was the largest country in the world. But as with the Ottoman Empire, the army, economy, and infrastructure lagged behind in development. In 1905, when the Russian Empire lost the war to the Japanese, the first time a European power lost a war to an Asian power in modern history, the problems of the Russian Empire became apparent to the world. This defeat led to a revolution, forcing the Tsar to establish a parliament and move to a constitutional monarchy. However, Nikolai II still did not agree with the parliament. He did not submit to the newly introduced restrictions, and the Russian Empire was on the verge of a new revolution. So, we have a new superpower in the center of Europe. Fear driving crumbling empires to make irrational and hasty decisions, and rulers who were inferior to their predecessors in personal qualities and matters of governance. And now we can turn our attention to the first scene that played out. A group of people in a cafe in Belgrade are looking at a newspaper clipping with the headline, Archduke Franz Ferdinand to visit Sarajevo on June 28. These people are nationalists, patriots, and murderers. Almost all of them are under 20 years old. They call themselves Young Bosnia and want Bosnia and Duchy to gain independence from the Austro-Hungarian Empire and reunite with Serbia. And Franz Ferdinand is heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and June 28, New Style, is the day of one of the greatest battles in Serbian history. The Battle of Kosovo. It is one of the most unifying events for Serbs. A matter of national pride. Especially for some Serbian nationalists. For them, the fact that the Archduke of Austria, the embodiment of their oppression of foreign domination, is coming here on this day is one of the greatest insults. All in all, Franz Ferdinand was unaware. Had he arrived on any other day, and the terrible events that followed might not have happened. On any other day it would have been a mere parade, and the event would probably not even have been historic. Yet it was on June 28, 1914 that Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sofia arrived in Sarajevo to observe a military exercise. But it was really just an excuse. It was their anniversary and they had just escaped from the stuffy royal court of Austria, which did not want to accept their marriage. After all, Sofia was only a countess. They seated themselves in an open-top car and began their drive through the streets of Sarajevo, accompanied by 5 other cars, inside which were guards and officials. It was a parade. Gawkers lined the streets, for the route of the movement had been published in advance and was known to all. Among the crowd were those men from Young Bosnia. They had come to kill the Archduke. The car with the royal couple passed the would-be assassins one by one, and nothing happened. 2 of the young men could not handle their fear and did not dare to act. Finally, on the bridge, one of the assassins stepped forward and threw a grenade at the Archduke's car, but the grenade flew past him, fell behind the car and blew up the car following the Archduke. About 20 people were wounded in the explosion. The assassin jumped off the bridge to escape, but the river below had become very shallow. It was only a few centimeters deep and he badly injured his leg. Then he ate a tablet of potassium cyanide. However, the poison did not kill him, but only made him nauseous, and the police captured him alive. The convoy of cars turned around and rushed back. Sirens sounded everywhere and a cordon around the city began. But Franz Ferdinand does not hide in a bunker or leave the country guarded by a small army, as they do today. He offers to visit the hospital where the wounded have been taken. However, the Archduke's personal driver came to the city with him, and therefore did not know the roads in Sarajevo, and the way to the hospital was not prearranged. And on the way, the driver took a wrong turn, just on the street where another conspirator was standing, Gavrilo Princip. The car braked to turn around 3 wide steps away from him. Gavrilo instantly drew his pistol and fired 2 shots that changed the world, after which he was immediately arrested. And Franz Ferdinand and Sofia died before they could receive medical attention. This event started one of the biggest wars in history. This war changed the world, and served to end the world order that had gone before. In the next installment, we will learn how the world reacted to this assassination. But you all know, the more likes we get under this clip, the sooner part 2 will be released. Thank you for watching and for supporting my channel.